I wasn't feeling very inspired this week, probably because I'm unsure what the next step is for some paintings I'm working on. But I still try, as much as possible, to go into my art room and do something every day, even if it's just a few minutes pushing paint around. I thought I'd show you what I got up to in the art studio this week. I've been working on a group of 3 purple paintings. I basically have the composition that I want, and I'm working with that. I added some touches of gray, and later on in the week added some Naples yellow. There will still be some layers added on top, so some of what I'm putting on here today will be covered up. I'm going back and forth, adding and subtracting shapes, marks, and colors. I'll keep working on these on and off until there's nothing more I want to add, and then I'll know I'm done. I find I need to work on several projects at a time and move between them. I don't usually keep working on the same thing for hours at a time, more in shorter bursts. I work on a group of paintings, then move on to something else. And when I come back to the first one, I have a different, fresh perspective and get more ideas on what to do next. On day 2, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I worked in my art journal or sketchbook. I had been watching a class by Flora Bowley, and she mentioned foam brushes. I realized that I hadn't used them in a while, so I pulled one out. I decided to see how many different types of marks I could make with one brush. There are actually quite a lot. Now that I did that practice, and they're fresher in my mind, I'll remember those marks and can use them in different paintings. It was actually kind of fun doing those marks. There was no pressure to do anything, and it always feels like an achievement when I didn't feel like making art but did it anyway. One day, I worked on my blue group of paintings. I put some gray marks and Naples yellow. Same idea as with the purple paintings. I use my intuition, putting a mark where it feels like it should go, then keep going like that, reacting to what's there, and then feeling out what the painting tells me should be next. I like where the paintings are for now, but I know they're not finished yet. Some of what I did today will get covered up with future layers, but bits will peek through. I love having lots of layers and history in my paintings, being able to see a bit of one color or mark under a different color. I also love that you see certain things in the paintings from far away, but when you get up close, you see more little details. For now, these are a work in progress. Next, I played with inks. I just love how ink flows across the page and blooms when it's sprayed with water. This color of turquoise is so beautiful. When I play with ink, I can sometimes get carried away and spray too much water because I love the effect. The swirls, the transparency, it was really nice using the ink. And I was just working in an art journal on a page where I had used up some extra gray paint one day. So there's no pressure to make the page look any certain way, just to enjoy the process. Another time, I used my art journal again, scribbling some marks on the page, then putting down some ink, spraying it with water, swirling and dragging the color around with a brush, watching the ink drip across the page. I added some off-white and a yellow-green color. I wasn't trying to create anything special. It was just a chance to play and hopefully get inspired. I worked with some orangey red in my art journal for a couple of days. I put down paint and ink and used a few different tools to move the paint around. I mixed up a lighter shade to have a variety of color, and also used off-white and black for contrast. I used a variety of shapes and marks. There are a bunch of different contrasts in this page. What I would do with this type of page is to leave it in my journal and come back to it here and there. I often use my art journals to use up extra paint. So if I have a bit of paint left over, I'll turn to a blank page and just brush it on in whatever spots I feel called to. Or I might add the leftover paint to a page that already has something on it, where I think it would go together. Sometimes a page might have one color of paint on it, and it might sit there for a few months. Then one day I turn to that page and I'm inspired to add something to it, like a few lines or scribbles and a bit of a different color. Sometimes a page might be just the thing I need that day, and it might inspire me. Sometimes I might add something else to a journal page, like a word, a quote, or a picture. It will all get used eventually when the time is right. So that's what I got up to this week. I'm happy that I went into my studio often and did a little bit here and there, working on some of my official paintings and also exploring and messing around in my art journals. I always feel proud of myself when I nudge myself to do something I'm not in the mood for, so even just doing a little bit feels good. Personally, I find that if I take too many days off from creating, that it's hard for me to get back into it. So this is my way of keeping myself going. Any day that I'm creative or make something is always a good day. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any ideas you'd like to see for future videos, please leave it in the comments. See you next time and have fun creating until then.